Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to A Place Further Than the Universe, episode 6. So, September 2019, last time we reacted to this series. I don't remember all the reasons why I dropped it back then. I think it was just due to time constraints and everything, because I was enjoying it. I remember that for a fact. But I dropped it due to various reasons, and always planned to get back to it at some point, just never did. Never got to it on my own time, never continued it at all, and luckily it's one of those shows that was never, talked about too much. The only time I ever heard anyone talk about it since then was, with people just saying they liked it in the most vague way possible. So I never worried about getting spoiled. But, we are finally getting back to it. With 2022, as I've said before, we are trying to get back to shows that I either unfairly, unjustly dropped in the past, or shows that I've always planned on getting back to but just never have. We're trying to bring back some stuff that I haven't reacted to in a while, and plan to again. I'm very much at this point just considering making a slot specifically for this. But at the same time, in order to do that, I would have to probably rearrange things. And then at the same time, it's like I have multiple slots actually doing this right now, like with OKKO and with this. So it's like I think it's just better to just not set out a specific slot for it, because that way we can just get to them as we get to them. So I briefly looked back at what happened in the first 5 episodes. Basic gist is, and I only remember one character's name, so bear with me right now. One of the girls, kind of this poppy, bubbly main girl, she ends up finding a large sum of money in an envelope. She finds out that it belongs to this other girl, this classmate of hers, who was saving up to try to go to Antarctica, where her mother had gone. And so they decide to go together. Eventually, one of the girls, I don't remember which one, gets a job at this convenience store, 7-Eleven, basically, in order to gain some extra money for this trip. And there, her co-worker, Hinata, who's the only character I remember the name of, because she was my favorite, she overhears this all and decides to join in as well. And then the final one to join in is this young actress who is actually being sent to Antarctica herself for a job, though she doesn't want to go initially. However, she eventually agrees to go and agrees to bring them with her and work it all out. And there was some issues as well with the one bubbly girl's other friend, who I think was starting to feel like left out or something. And I think that was the last episode we reacted to, where they had to make up and everything before the crew left and everything. And they were planning to leave. There was all this hubbub about how they were going to do it, and all the semantics, I guess you could say, behind getting ready to go and everything. They were planning it all out. I should be able to get back into it pretty well. It's a very slow series compared to other stuff I react to. It's a very simplistic show. it's not like super exciting in its presentation, but it doesn't really need to be. It's definitely one of those more relaxed, vibing shows. Just something you can sit back and enjoy without really having to worry about like too much excitement or intense action or whatnot. Um, and I mean, I like the excitement and intense action, but sometimes it's nice to just have a show you can just vibe to. So yeah. Um, this is 12 episodes long, I think, in total. Something like that. So we should be able to get through it all, no problem. Um, but I'm definitely interested to get back into this to see how this expedition continues to go and everything. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's it's definitely going to be an interesting ride, and there's definitely some hints from what I remember of a lot of emotional depth behind things. So yeah, I tend to get into emotional stuff, so hopefully that's a good sign. Um, it is just weird coming back to a show after a couple years, and especially like a show like this where it's not like a super hype series. So it does kind of leave that weird feeling, and you're unsure if it's going to like if you're going to like it like you did back then. Maybe that's just me because a lot of reactors don't do this. A lot of reactors either react to the show all at once on a schedule, or they don't have a schedule and they just react to the show when they get to it. So there might be some pauses between episodes, but usually it doesn't last that long. So yeah, it's like I'm the unusual one. I, I'm one of those few reactors who will drop shows. Um, and specifically one of the few that drop shows that will actually tell you they're dropping the show. I've come across some reactors who will drop a show and never say anything, will not tell you, will not like explain why. They just drop it really suddenly, and you wouldn't even know they dropped it until there's just no new episodes coming out. And I don't like that personally. It bothers me. Um, but yeah, so again, definitely interested to see where this goes, and hopefully, it's pretty good. Sorry for all the yawning, by the way. Getting to this pretty early after waking up, so either way, let us get this started. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I wanted to look it up, and I want to mention this real quick at the beginning here. The exact reason I dropped Place Further Than Universe. So I looked at the last episode we did. I did not mention it in that video because, as I eventually ended up finding out, it was not in that video that I made that decision. I was still planning on continuing at that point. But shortly after that, I ended up doing this no schedule experiment. This was, again, in September of 2019. The video on the channel is even called The No Schedule Experiment Begins, Important Update. And basically the idea was that we wouldn't be having a schedule. We would have a certain set of shows, and that we would have certain shows that were priority over others, and that we would just get to them basically whenever. Just not having a schedule to try and take some of the pressure off of me at the time. And because of that, there were some shows I had to put on hold. Place Further Than the Universe was one of them. I decided to put it on hold instead of Dragon Prince, which was kind of the alternate I was choosing between those two with. I chose to continue on with Dragon Prince and said that I even said in the video I liked Place Further Than the Universe a lot more than I ever thought I would, but that I liked Dragon Prince a little more and was going to put Place Further Than the Universe on hold for the time being. Again, this was in 2019. This was over 2 years ago now. So I never ended up getting back to it since. But as I've stated, I do like this series, and I did back then. I just put it on hold because I was trying something new, and I just never ended up getting back to it, unfortunately. But now we are finally back to it, and this first episode back, episode 6, proves to me why I should have gotten back to this sooner. Like, this was just great. I still don't remember all the characters' names. I remember Hinata and Shirase right now. I don't remember the other two's names. I'll get them down. It's been a while, and I still have to get used to them, and I might not even remember Shirase by next week. But the main gist of this episode is, so they're starting their journey. They're getting ready to head out, and the first stop on their plane trip is to Singapore. They stop at Singapore and take in the sights, check out a Merlion statue. But things go bad when Hinata ends up losing her passport. Obviously important, need it to travel between countries. So they realize, like, yeah, you can get it replaced. Like, there's obviously ways to do that. There has to be. But while that's going on, it would cause a delay in their traveling. Now they're okay with this. They are okay with delaying it for an extra day because they would still be able to get there on time. But Hinata wants them to go on without her and for her to fix it and catch up with them. And we find out that she actually hates being worried about. She hates people worrying about and caring about her because she's had bad experiences in the past with people saying one thing to her face but then like talking behind her back and everything. And I mentioned in the reaction that I've been through this kind of thing, and very much so. A lot of times in high school there were people who would be very nice to me in front of my face, but then I'd hear them talking to their other friends and stuff behind my back and saying bad shit about me. And I feel like a lot of people have probably gone through that kind of thing. It's a pretty common thing from what I've heard people talking about when they usually talk about bullying at school, because this is bullying. It may not be like physical, like attacking someone or anything, but it's still bullying. Bullying comes in a lot of different forms, and people need to realize it's not just like physical. A lot of the times it can be very mental and emotional, and that's just as damaging. So yeah, I very much understand what she went through, and I understand why she doesn't want people to care for her and to care about her and to worry about her because of that. Because it bothers her, and she's afraid that they'll just turn on her behind her back again. That it's not genuine. But they make very clear, Shirase especially makes very clear in this episode that it's genuine. And I think Hinata does appreciate it by the end. So Shirase and Hinata begin to argue about what to do, and Shirase doesn't want to leave without her. Hinata is very insistent that they do so. So the next day, they decide to exchange the plane tickets, and get it figured out. Hinata's still really against it and everything, but Shirsei keeps insisting and even kind of yells at Hinata, like right in front of the lady at the airport desk, basically saying, like, I am not leaving without you. This is not happening. And kind of acknowledging a little bit of selfishness and everything. There's also a big theme in this episode about caring about others versus caring about yourself. And it's like Hinata wants others to care about themselves above her. And again, we know why she doesn't want others to care about her as much. But she wants others to care about themselves, and it's like that's nice, but at the same time, you're also putting yourself so low. You're not really practicing what you preach. It's great to encourage people and to do it yourself, to put yourself first in a lot of cases. A lot of people think that you need to just entirely focus on putting others' needs above your own, and that's honestly toxic. You need to be able to put your needs first sometimes. It depends on the situation, it depends on the circumstances, but sometimes you need to put yourself first, and there are times where you can put others first. But you should never put others first if it results in your own detriment. You have a right, honestly, to be selfish in this regard. If you don't put yourself first at certain points, you can't even work to help others in the first place. So you need to be able to focus on your own self sometimes, on your own self-worth, your own self just growth and everything. And sometimes that means just taking a back seat from helping others for a bit. And this episode does tackle that, and we see that Hinata doesn't want to be cared for, to be cared about, but Shirisei's like, no, I want to do this. This is something I want to do. And she shows that, yeah, taking care of yourself is important, but taking care of others is too. And she shows Hinata that she's not going to go without her. That even though she wants to go the most, as was pointed out in this episode and was obvious anyways, even though she wants to go to the most for her own reasons, because of her mother and everything, she's not going to go without everyone, without all her friends. That's the kind of trip this has become. They are doing this together, and that means no girl left behind. So yeah, it's real in this situation, in this regard. Her care for Hinata and for others is what is important and necessary. And then she finds out that she had Hinata's passport the entire time. Because Hinata had given it to her to hang on to, and she put it in her bag. And it's wild that she never checked her bag during all of that. Like, the thing is, I would think if you're traveling with someone and one person loses something, I would think everyone would be checking all their stuff just in case. Like, that would just be the smart thing to do, just in case. Even if you don't think you would have it or have any reason to have it, you check. It's just the smart thing to do. But yeah, because even if you don't think like you would have it for any reason, you might have accidentally put it in there, just completely on accident. I've done shit like that, so. But yeah, so in response, the other two girls forced them to eat durian as a punishment. Fresh durian too, not like durian ice cream. And again with the durian thing, again I've only had the candies, but the flavor, if the candies are accurate, is not bad. It's weird, but it's not like super gross or anything. Of course, again, I haven't had like fresh durian or anything, so I don't know like what the smell is like because I've heard about the smell and everything, and I don't know like exactly what the taste of fresh real durian is like. I definitely want to try it one day. I know there's durian at this Asian mart near where I live. Maybe one day I'll go there and get some durian or something and try it out on camera. It would be fun to do. Um, I haven't actually gone to that Asian marts in a while. Like there were a couple times where I actually did my grocery shopping there because they have some pretty damn good stuff there. Um, but it's actually been quite a while since I did. I don't think I did so in 2021 at all. I think it's been since 2020. If I did go there in 2021, it was at the very beginning of the year. But either way, oh wait, no, I don't think I would have because of the pandemic. I don't think I went since before the pandemic then. I don't think so. No, maybe I did go after the pandemic started. In which case it would have to be late 2020 or early 2021. Probably. I don't know. I'm not sure. Not really what's important here. Um, but yeah, this was a really good episode that touched on some heavy subjects and really just re-endeared me to these characters. It definitely got me back into this in a strong way. Um, and so I'm really happy to be back. I'm really excited to be back. Like I had said, back in 2019 when I originally put this on hold, I did plan to come back to it. I always plan to come back to it. Um, it's just one of those shows I just never did. I put it on hold for scheduling reasons and ended up not coming back to it until a couple years later. Well, like 2.5 years later, practically. So we are back to it now, though, and yeah, I'm excited to see where this journey continues to go. Well, I mean, we know where it's going, but you know what I mean. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Place Further Than the Universe? And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.